Hello my beautiful book besties and welcome back to the channel. Happy October. So today's October 1st, so naturally I am wearing my little spooky Ghosts in a Library crew neck. I'm not gonna lie, I love this thing. I wore it up to Indiana. I went to Indiana like 2 weeks ago and I wore it up there because it was like kind of chilly. I got so many freaking compliments, okay? And normally what I do is I wait until like October to try to buy like October style things. And so I only can wear them for like 2 weeks by the time I get in. So key thing this year was buying it like September 1st, honestly, probably the end of August, and wear it the entire season. So absolutely loving it. How are you guys doing? It's been so long since I made a video, like 2 weeks. Like I said, I went to Indiana for a week, came back, and then I got just sucked in the world of reading and I haven't been able to make a video. And today I'm like, holy shit, it's the end of the month. Let's do a September wrap up and a October TBR listing, because this month of October, I actually have a TBR that I plan to stick to. Normally what I do is just I don't know, I'm a mood reader. So I just pick up whatever I'm feeling. But I actually have not been scrolling on TikTok or social media for over a month now. I decided that I was spending too much time scrolling and not enough time reading and interacting with my friends and my family and stuff like that. So I was like, girl, enough. You're addicted to social media. Ugh. So I stopped, and then it's been 5 weeks now that I have, I don't scroll at all. And because of that, I'm reading a hell of a lot more. I'm having a good old time. But because of that, I'm not distracted by book talk. Hey, read this book, read this book. So I'm actually hey, I have a plan of books on my TBR that I actually can read, and I'm sticking to it. So I wanted to go over what I read this month. I'm pretty sure it's just mostly The Ruthless Boys by the Zodiac, but we'll check, because I also have another book that I want to talk to you about that I hated, which is not like me to actually dislike a book. So that, and then I want to go over my game plan as to what I'm going to read for October. So buckle up, friends, let's go. Okay, so I have officially read 67 books this year. My goal was 75 books. I have had the same goal for the last 2 years of 75 books, because I did 1 year where I did 100. And I'm not gonna lie, by December it was I don't know, I had 92 books left, and it was a struggle to get the last 8 in the last couple weeks of the year, because it's just so busy, right? All the holidays. And so I ended up just reading a bunch of novellas and was okay. And I was that just seems like a lot. But last year, I hit 75 books this time at the end of September. So I was well, fuck it, let's aim for 100. And sure enough, again, I needed 3 more books the last week of December. So I was just listening to audiobooks and novellas. And I was the reading goal, I feel is meant for people that just don't read. So it's let me try to read, I don't know, 10 books or 20 books. I don't know if it's actually meant for people like us. That's hey, I'm reading hundreds of books, because I just want this to be fun. I don't want to overthink it, but I am also still glad that I'm almost at my goal. So right now, 67 books of 75. We're definitely going to hit that in the month of October. Whether we're going to hit 100 for the year, I don't know. I'm not putting that pressure on me. You know what I mean? I'm just going to chill and see what happens. Okay, so for October, let's see, did I read book details? How do you see when I read these books? I finished it on August 22nd. Okay, so basically, long story short, the month of October was the entirety of Ruthless Boys. I started Dark Fae at the end of August, and maybe I finished it. Okay, so I finished it August 27th, but we're gonna count this anyway. Okay, so I started The Ruthless Boys of the Zodiac. If you've been following along, I've been reading Zodiac Academy. My reading order that I have been sticking to was I read the first 3 of Zodiac Academy, which is The Awakening, something, then The Reckoning, and then I moved over to Ruthless Boys. And everyone and their mother that does different reading orders was after 3, you have to stop and go to Ruthless Boys. And I was why? And they're because by 4, you're gonna see the characters from Ruthless Boys in book 4 of the Zodiac. I am officially done book 4 as well. So I read the entirety of the 5 books of the Ruthless Boys. I did take that break. I read the 5 books. I then read book 4 of Zodiac Academy. And then the reading order I'm following, which is my friend Jamie's. I didn't even realize it was my friend Jamie's. My other friend took a screenshot of Jamie's reading order and sent it to me. And I just keep going to my friend Carrie and was like, okay, what's the next book? And she's like, it's this. And then I realized when I made a TikTok about it yesterday that everyone's like, oh, that's Jamie's reading order. And Jamie and I are mutuals. And I was like DM Jamie and I was like, oh my God, I'm sorry for all the tags you're getting in this. Like, I didn't even realize it was your order. But she has us, after we come back from Ruthless Boys, pick up book 4 of the Zodiac Academy and then stop again and go back to the way beginning that is 0.5 and 1.5, which is like a little novella about Darius and Lance, 2 of the main characters, followed by the entirety of the first book over again, but this time told by the boys. So if you read Zodiac Academy, the very first book is only the girls' point of view. It's Darcy and Tori, the twins, only their point of view. I liked reading that book because only their point of view, because it makes you see everything only from their side and allows you to hate the guys the way they do, okay? And I even made a joke about it when I was reading it because I'm not used to reading books only from the female's point of view. I'm used to having that dual POV. That I liked having it like that because I didn't want to know why the guys were acting like assholes. Like, I didn't want to know. I don't want to hear your sob story. I don't want to hear your excuses. I just want to hate you for a little bit. You need to work for your POV. I made that joke. And then everyone's like, actually, ironically, they will. Like, eventually you'll read their point of view, right? And so I am now currently, I read the 5 books for Ruthless Boys. I read 4. Yesterday I finished 0.5 and started 1.5. Now, I initially, when I saw that reading order, I finished 4. And it ends on like a horrible cliffhanger for both couples, main couples that you're going to see, right? And I was about to start 5 when I realized the reading order says no, go back to the beginning. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, why am I going back to the beginning? And like, why would I? After reading 3 books and having to put it down and then pick something back up, why did you make me come back into the world of Zodiac Academy and then put it down again to start over? Like, why not maybe like when I come back from Ruthless Boys, read 1.5 and then go? But I'm an idiot. Okay, why did I question anything? Okay, do you have to read this order? Of course you don't have to read this order. But what I noticed by doing it this way is you read from Darcy and Tori's point of view, you hate the guys, okay? Then you read book 2, 3, Ruthless Boys, whatever, 4, and you start to learn more about the guys as like it progresses because their POVs start to enter in book 2, 3, and 4, right? So you start to forgive them for what they did at 1 and kind of understand them a little bit, but not like totally. Then you get to the end of 4, and the end of 4 ends just like dramatic as all hell, okay? Like, and Tori and Darcy are one of the couples that kind of like, there's like love triangles and stuff like that, but like she ends up being with Darius just a little, did I say Darius? What did I say? Anyway, Darius and Tori end up having this hot and cold, on again, off again thing the entire series so far. But they end up in this like trial and they have to make a choice. And Darius is team one way and Tori is the other way, and she ends up making a choice for them. And so you sit there thinking like, what the fuck? And because you read it this way, you completely understand why Tori made that decision, but you have this little like piece of you that's like, wait, no, Tori, don't make that decision. And you feel bad for Darius, but like, you still totally get why Tori did it, right? You know? And then something happens with Lance and Darcy because they're another couple in it. But you see it happen, you kind of see why it happened, but you don't really get like why the person's there or like anything to do with the backstory. You kind of have a little bit of intel, but you don't really know. So you're sitting there like, what the fuck? So book 4 ends and you're sitting there going, what the actual fuck? And as much as everything about you wants to go to 5 to just get the answer, like progressively, by taking that break and saying, going back to 0.5, just reading 0.5 gives you more insight of why that person is there at the end of 4. Then you get more insight on Lance and Darius as people with each other. And then you move into 1.5 and you see from the beginning why Darius and Lance were the way they were from the beginning. And it literally will tear your heart out. Throw that bitch on the ground and stomp on it. Because it's like, wait, stop. No, wait, stop. I hated you so much for so long. But wait, stop. Like, do you see what I'm saying? And I'm trying to do this to where, like, I'm giving you guys this rec without, like, ruining everything, but actually showing you, like, it matters. The reading order does matter. Now, had I read it different order, people are like, it doesn't fucking matter. Yeah, sure, it does matter. You're right. Like, it really doesn't. It just hits a little differently if you do it this way, right? Like, I don't want to know what they have to think. Show me all the way up until the end when they're trying to prove how they really feel, to then rip me back and show that that was true the whole time. Like, what they were really feeling inside was what they're trying to say here at the end, but it's too late now. So, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. The reading order, and that was perfect. My only thing I will say, I finished 4. I still don't really understand why we had to read the first 3 books, then stop and come back. Like, I think that if you wanted to read Ruthless Boys first, because it happens 5 years before the first book of Zodiac Academy, so like if you're thinking timeline progressively, it would be fine. Like, nothing is happening. Lance is like still in college. He's not a professor yet. Lance is one of the professors, big character in Zodiac Academy. Like, you see him, but you don't see anybody else. Okay, sorry, I take that back. You see the heirs, which are big main characters in Zodiac, but they're like 14, 15 years old. So like, you see them, but the order doesn't matter. The only thing I can think of is, obviously you want to read them before you get to 4, because like Gabe, which is one of the main characters from Ruthless Boys, shows up a lot in 4, and it's funnier. It's just funnier knowing who he is. Obviously, again, I've said this before, I read Rena Kent universe in any order, so like, I don't give a fuck, read it however you want, but like, it does make it funnier. You know what I mean? But the only thing I can think as to why you would read the first 3 first is because Elise from Ruthless Boys, so she's a vampire, she's known she's a vampire, she was born in the world, she like has her powers, she's whatever, is going to this school to avenge her brother's death, and she knows a king killed her brother, okay? And so she knows at this school there's these 4 guys known as the kings of Aurora Academy. And so she's looking into these guys to figure out who is her brother's killer, but she ends up like it's a why choose romance, so like her and the guys end up like kind of like connecting. So the only thing I can think that versus Zodiac Academy is when you're reading Zodiac Academy, you are Darcy and Tori, who are normal people. You are in the mortal realm, you have been orphans in the foster system, and then all of a sudden you just get ripped into this fae world, new world with magic and orders and all this stuff. So as somebody who didn't read fantasy and kind of went into it like that, I could see like why this order would be kind of cool, because you are dumb and know nothing, just like Tori and Darcy are dumb, if you didn't already read the Ruthless Boys. So like, if you read Ruthless Boys first, you would already understand the magic system and how everything is working and being laid out, like how the orders work, like what replenishes their magic, like maybe concealment spells. You would understand like all of that. So when you were reading from Darcy and Tori's point of view, you would already be catching on things that they don't understand, versus if you read their book first, you get to be dumb with them and also be like, wait, what's happening? What's happening? And I think sometimes that like allows you to really live that experience much better. And the first 3 books kind of lined up perfectly to be like, okay, the first one's The Awakening, which means that they got brought into the world, their powers were awakened, and they're lost. They're dumb girls. They don't know what's going on. It's only their POV. They're fighting with the heirs. They don't know what's happening. Second book, I don't know what happens there. But by the 3rd book, they're doing their final test, it's called The Reckoning, to see if they're even going to stay in the Zodiac Academy. And by then, them and the heirs have kind of like connected, and then there's like this huge way it ends as like a cliffhanger. And for some reason, that's when they're like, go read the Ruthless Boys now, because you need to know for book 4. So I don't know, it's kind of hard because I can totally get why people read in different orders. I'm doing my best to try to figure out why the order I'm on matters. And so that's the only thing I can think of is you get to be Tori and Darcy and not understand anything, versus had you read Ruthless Boys first, you would already just know, like, all these things they don't understand, you already know, and you'd be like, you guys are so dumb. Duh. Like, you know what I mean? So, anyway, that's just kind of my thoughts. I personally, I am just going to throw this out, love the Ruthless Boys. I am seeing a lot of people that are like, I read Zodiac Academy 1 through 9. I don't plan on reading the Ruthless Boys, whatever the case is, or I didn't stop, whatever. That's fine. But read the Ruthless Boys. Like, that was so funny. Like, such a good time. It was long ass books. Like, the last one was 1,000 pages. And by the end of it, I was like, I wish it was longer. I'm so sad they're gone. Like, I'm so sad that my boys are gone. You know what I mean? Like, everything in my soul loved those books. My favorite ended up being Ryder. Leon had my heart for like the longest, and I honestly was like, you might come up on top. Like, I think in the last video I was like, Leon is my favorite right now. But he ends up being too whiny sometimes when he's like in a bad mood, and I'm like, ugh, ick. But so it was Ryder ended up being my number 1, then Leon, then Dante, then Gabe. I didn't like Gabe that much. Gabe was super whiny and annoying to me. Like, he just was too much. I'm like, Gabe, shut up. However, by the end, once he started loosening up and didn't take things so seriously, I was like, Gabe, you're funny as hell. Where was this? And then I read book 4, and Gabe kept popping up there because him and Lance are best friends. Gabe is so funny. So I love him more now in book 4 of Zodiac Academy than I even did in his own fucking books. That's happened to me a lot before, actually. So another reason why like that order makes sense. But highly recommend. I was talking with a friend this weekend. She's like, Zodiac Academy is super intimidating. I don't really know. And currently she's reading a lot of Why Chooses. She just read like The Bonds That Tie. And I was like, if Zodiac as a whole is too much, like Ruthless Boys is 5 books. Like, read that and then see if you just like that style of writing, like the humor that's in it with the twist that's in it. Because if that's the case, then like you'll be fine, you know, reading all of the books. So yeah, like that's kind of what my September was, other than I did read one book outside of the Zodiac Academy, and it was our book club book of the month, and it was Forged in Blood by Sadie Kincaid. Okay, listen, I did it as an audiobook, and the audiobook narrators sounded good. Like, the audiobook was good. It was 3 different guys or 4 different guys that played, it's 3 vampire, like, college kids, 1 vampire professor, and then this 1 girl. And basically the whole premise of it is this girl gets invited to like go to school at this academy. She was a foster kid her whole life. And she, like, the prologue of it is she was born of a demon and a human, and people were like, vampires were coming to kill her while she was in her mom's stomach, and she managed to like cast fire and kill everybody around them while she was still in the womb. That's like the prologue of it. And basically what was happening was the demon, the dad, called his demon brother and this witch to be like, save the child. And they're like, we are not supposed to intervene. And they did. And so now it's like 18 years later, and she got like this random trust saying from her like deceased parents saying like, you're supposed to go to this college, but like you have to go to this college. And she was super bullied in high school, and she was always like in different foster systems, so she's just very, very, very like insecure. And she gets to campus not knowing anything, and like within, I don't know, first chapter or 2, second chapter, she sees this guy and these 2 other guys standing there like attacking this girl, and she's like, what the heck, like what are you doing? And they're vampires, one's like feeding and whatever. So vampires take her back, and the professor walks out and is like, do not touch her. And it turns out the professor had turned all 3 of these boys, so like they call each other brothers, but they're not. So like he had one, and like 100 or 50 years later, he turns another one because the first one was like lonely and wanted a brother. And then this last one, who is the youngest, like they found on the side of the road in Ireland. And so they turned him too. So like the professor has the 3. and they're like a family. And like, just from what I know of like Vampire Diaries, because I don't do a lot of fantasy in books, it's like the vampire that sires you, you're like tied to them, like loyal to them. And if the sired vampire dies, the other three die. So like I kind of understood that like just from my Vampire Diaries days. And so like, whatever, like the premise of the book seemed good. And basically what she is like, they don't really know what she is yet, but they just know she's really powerful. And the professor is like, do not drink from her. And then they accidentally do, and then they're tied to her. So now they all have a bond. I think the possible plot of that book had a lot of potential. I think the narrating of the book was really well. The four different guys, each are a different person. The accent is really good. Like, the audio is good. But for me, okay, here are multiple things that will make me want to DNF right off the bat, and always have. A whiny FMC. Like, if the FMC won't stop bitching and complaining about herself or anything else, such a turn off. Like, shut the fuck up. I've said this before. I will say it again. If I want to listen to self-deprecating thoughts, I will just hang out with myself for a little bit and like look in a mirror. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need this, okay? I want my FMCs to like help me retrain how I view the world and it be a bad bitch, okay? I don't want to listen to this, right? So she was whining the entire time. She cried the entire time, like literally crying the entire time, okay? And such a pushover, like so submissive. Like, they'd be like, hi, and she'd be like, yes? And I'm like, oh my God, bitch, what are you doing? Okay. 2, what was my second one? Oh, Insta love. Okay, they were like doing it right off the bat, which is fine. Like, I'd be so for real right now, but like saying I love you and you don't even know her last name, that's Insta love. Like, I think we all can agree, like, come on. Like, we don't need to be saying I love you on page 4, right? Like, and obviously it wasn't that soon, but like they genuinely were like, we know nothing about you, but we love you. And I was like, gag, okay? Then it was just like a lot of spice. And I think my hard part is like, I've been reading now for like 3 years. So like me getting all like fanny flutters, is that what I say? Punani flutters? I don't know. Any kind of flutters from spice is like so few and far between right now. Like, I just am just like so used to it at this point. So like, I need so much more with it to make it be like, let's go. Okay, so for them to not know her, there's not a lot of plot in between spicy scenes once they start doing it, and it's just spice. I'm like, I'm bored. Like, I'm just bored. They were like, oh, you've never been on a date before? Let's take you on a date. And I was like, okay. I managed to look down at my phone for like 2 seconds, and all of a sudden they're like, we're gonna bang you on this table. And I was like, take her on a date, dude. Like, figure out something about her. So didn't like that instant love followed by just like nothing but banging. You know what I mean? Especially when they had this possibility of such a good plot. So now you have like set up good plot, I love you, spice. No plot happening. And then, I'm gonna ruin this for you, I'm really sorry. But then, they're vampires, right? And she had her time of the month. And so they were like, hey, when you finish with your tamp, we're gonna put it in the freezer and use it as a popsicle. Gag. Okay, triggered. Like, so with this said, for the first time in my life, I gave a book a 2-star rating on Goodreads. Because I've always had it, like, this is how my rating goes. I either DNF it. It's 3 stars, meaning that I like finish the book, but I will not like openly go on my platform and talk about it. 4 stars mean I read the book, I like the book, but I probably won't talk about it on its own. If I do like a stack recommendation, it would definitely be in there. And then 5 stars is like, I'll talk about this book all day, right? So like, it doesn't have to be life-changing, but I would openly talk about this book on my channels, right? That's how I've kind of kept like my stuff in sync. This was, I almost DNF'd it, but I pushed through and I should have DNF'd it. And then I talked to my friends at book club, and one of them had read the next two, and we were like, girl, just tell us. She did a great job summarizing the other two. I was like, this is how we should do it from now on. We should just like elect one person to do the whole series and just recap that shit for me, because I kind of want to know what happened, but not like that bad. You know what I mean? So, Sadie Kincaid, if you want a better one from her, Perfect Fit is a great one. She does a lot of mafia style. That seems to be like where she shines. Definitely don't discredit the author. I think just fantasy is not, because I think with fantasy, it has to be so much more plot driven and like slow burn. That's just what I expect when I read a fantasy. So like having that not be the case, I'm like, go be a mafia and take a gun out or something. Like, I don't know. This is not the vampire is not working for me. So, dislike. But it did make me want to rewatch Vampire Diaries, if anyone's ever watched that. Who am I kidding? You all have watched Vampire Diaries. It's so fucking good. Okay. That was my September. How long have I talked? 25 minutes? Was that good for you? It was great for me. Okay. Now, October. Here is my list. I have a big one, okay? And I'm sticking to it because I've been planning October. I am going to do a reread of the Devil's Night series, okay? If you haven't read Devil's Night series, this is the time to do. Like, October is the time to do it. Devil's Night is technically October 30th, so, like, perfect, okay? So, like, it definitely fits the theme. I did a reread of Corrupt, which is the first book, back in like the last week of December, like right there at the end. So I will not be doing a reread of Corrupt, because spending like 2 times with Michael Christ is enough for me in a lifetime. Okay, I hate that man. Love the book. Love Erica. Love her. Hate that man. That man, throw him off the boat. Like, he doesn't need to be here. Okay. Then it's Hideaway. My biggest thing about Hideaway is like, Kai and Banks, which are the 2 main characters of that book, deserve so much better. Like, Kai should have had the best book in the series. That's just my hot take. Kai, chef's kiss, should have been perfect. Banks, bad bitch. You want a bad bitch? Erica Fane from book 1, book 2, Banks. Okay, like, let's fucking get it. However, their book was so boring because it seemed like just a setup for Kill Switch, which is the next book, which is my favorite. So I'm like, do I really want to reread Hideaway? Like, what really happened there? But also at the same time, I'm like, what if I need to reread Hideaway because I just didn't give it enough love the first time? I don't think that's the case. But now's the time to do it, right? So, like, I'm not going to reread Corrupt because in my head, I just finished that. So I think I'm going to do Hideaway, then Kill Switch, Conclave. I actually reread Conclave right after Corrupt. But anyway, Conclave, which is a novella, and then Nightfall, and then Fire Night. So let's just say I'm going to do an entire reread of the Devil's Night series. They're over here, by the way. Do you see them? Okay. I have the old covers, like the ones that went out of stock. And they're so pretty. They're over there. They're the black and white ones. They're not. You can't get the black and white ones anymore. I'm so sorry for that information. But, so I'm going to do that. But, on top of that, I heard the Hollow Boys series was like kind of Devil's Night-ish. Okay, and from what I've heard from a friend in book club who read the first book, she said this is not a spoiler. She said you find this out right away. But I guess one person in the friend group dies, and the whole like plot is them trying to figure out like what happened and who did it and stuff like that. And so I want to say that's 4 books. I could be completely lying on that. That would follow like one couple from each, just like Devil's Night does. So I'm gonna do that one as audiobooks because I heard they had the audiobooks available. I am not audiobooking the Devil's Night series because I did not like the audiobook of Corrupt. It is, what do you call that? A dual narration where like the girl does her whole chapter and the guy does his whole chapter. I just don't like it. Like, I felt like I enjoyed reading it, like just pure eyeball reading it more than I did doing the audiobook. So I'm going to do Hollow Boys as audiobooks, and then I'm going to do Devil's Night as just eyeball reading it. Let's see. Hollow Boys. Okay. Okay, so the first book of Hollow Boys is called The Lies We Steal. It doesn't have that great of rating, but I heard good things. So like, Are the people reading it just not dark romance fans, or is it a shitty book? I don't know. Don't put it against me if it is. But if it's good, you can give me credit for putting you on that. Okay, it looks like there's 4 books. So it's The Lies We Steal, The Truths We Burn, The Blood We Crave Part 1, and The Blood We Crave Part 2. Oh wait, no, then there's the 5th book called The Oath We Give. So let's just say that's 5 books for Devil's Night, 5 books for Hollow Boys. Oh my god, we're already getting crazy. And then it's October 1st. I already started an audiobook that I got the ARC for it, the ALC, Advanced Listener Copy. Okay, but I haven't read it yet, so I started it today. You want to see the book? Totally in my butt. Okay, it's beautiful. Look, it's called Spellcaster, and it's like right on like par with what I'm doing. They said that it was like enemies to lovers, who hurt you, they're witches, and he's a warlock. Okay, I started that today. It's so far so good. Look at the little art that I've gotten. From what I've listened to for the first 30 minutes, he and his dad used to be best friends with her dad, and like the whole family used to be friends together, and she was super young, like 4 when she knew him, and he's a couple years older. And then his mom dies, and they think her mom did it, but her mom's like, I did not do that. So the dad and him moved away, and now it's 22 years later or whatever. She's 22 years old, so it's been a hot minute. And she goes to college, because you can't go to college until your powers awaken, and they work in at 22, where her dad works. And she shows up, and this lady's like, hey, by the way, I was told that I should let you know that so-and-so's coming back, and his son's gonna be here at the college. And her dad's like, you need to not be at this college, we need to get, and kind of just told her what happened. So like, and like he teaches classes, but he's a junior. So like, I think I saw like it was a professor vibe. And I was thinking, like, how the hell is it a professor vibe? But now that I think about it, he said that he's going to teach some classes because he's a really strong spellcaster. But she doesn't know what she's going to be yet. So, anyway, I think she's going to be a spellcaster, too. I think she's going to be really strong. So, started that today. That's on my TBR. So, that's, what, 11 books now? I also want to listen to Nocticadia. Because, why not? I heard good things. So, like, those are my audiobooks. Spellcaster, Nocticadia. Spellcaster audiobook so far is really good. Hollow Boys. That's my month of October. Eyeball reading is going to be after October 15th. I'm going to start The Devil's Night. And I should finish it in time for Halloween. But the first half of the month, I'm going to keep reading Zodiac Academy. So, I'm on 1.5. I'm planning on reading 1.5, 5, 5.5, 5.6. Those are 2 little novellas. And then maybe book 6 in time for October 15th. That's a lot. I have never put that much on my plate in 1 month before. So I think it'd be fun at the end of the month to kind of like audit this to see if I actually did it. So, but like I said, I'm like not scrolling as much anymore. I'm making some content, but not as much. I actually started doing like something else on the side. So I'm just reading a lot more, and like I'm talking with my book club. We have our book club. I'm actually going to post a poll today for our October book of the month, but we are also reading Hollow Boys together. So kind of like what we did with Zodiac Academy, I have text channels of us reading Zodiac Academy together. I'm forcing everybody that wants to read Hollow Boys together plus our book of the month. You never have to like read anything. That's not how this works, but I like to jokingly force everybody to read the same series as me, so I have people to talk to. So everyone, when I like put out the thing saying like, what do we want to read for October? Everyone's like, wait, I thought we were doing Hollow Boys and Devil's Night. Like I thought that was already said. And I'm like, yes, duh. Like we are. Plus I do an extra one just for the people that don't want to read the series we're reading. So I don't know. With that said, that's probably close to like what, 17 books at this point. So yeah, my book club will be live talking about that. What else am I doing? I don't know. I think that's it. So I'm going to edit this video. I'll post this for you guys for today. So hopefully you'll see it on October 1st. And then, yeah, I'll continue to kind of like give you guys updates as I read through more stuff. I want to bring Ryan back to the YouTube channel. Like I used to do a lot more with Ryan, but he was so busy for so long. But now he's actually like, I'm bored. I don't have anything to do. So I'm like, we used to do podcast style, like sit down and talks. And he's actually reading like Iron Flame now and getting more into that. Like, So I'm like, maybe I'll bring him back for like, I used to do like Would You Rathers where he would pick 2 books and I'd describe them and he had to pick like which one he'd rather like be a part of. So let me know if there's anything else specifically you'd like to see from me, because I'm going to bring Ryan back. I think it'd be fun to almost do like a sit down chat once a week, like once, then next week maybe something with Ryan, then I'll sit down and chat again. So maybe every other week we kind of like break it up. But if there's anything specific you want to see, let me know. Otherwise, I can't believe I talked for 36 minutes straight without fucking up once. Like, this is one hit Drake. One take Drake. Fuck, I fucked up at the end. All right, I love you all. I will see you next time. Goodbye.